The wheels hit the tarmac with a thud, and you're already unbuckling your seatbelt before the plane fully slows down. One day early, that's all it is. One day. You weren't supposed to land until tomorrow afternoon, but the last meeting wrapped up early, and a sudden craving for your own bed pulled you home like gravity. You don't text anyone. No grand return announcement. You just want to slip into your house, take a long shower, and sink into the kind of silence only familiar walls can offer. By the time your Uber pulls into your neighborhood, the sun has already started dipping into the kind of gold that makes everything look softer than it really is. You notice something odd before the driver even stops. Cars, lots of them, lined along both curbs, spilling halfway into driveways. Your driveway, too. There's a black SUV practically parked on your lawn. You frown. Is there a neighborhood block party you weren't told about? The driver looks back at you with a raised brow. Big night. You just give a tight, polite laugh. Apparently, the moment your foot hits your front walkway, the sound becomes unmistakable laughter, clinking glasses, the bass line of a playlist, clearly curated by someone who thinks they're a DJ. Your porch light is on, though. You never leave it that way when you travel. Your door is slightly ajar, not broken, just wide open. Like it's been used 100 times in the last few hours. Like you don't live here at all. You step inside. The music hits first. Something upbeat and offensively cheerful. Your hallway is littered with coats, plastic cups, and someone's phone face down. There's a trail of shoes, heels, sneakers, a random crock. The living room glows with string lights you didn't hang. People you've never seen are lounging on your furniture. One woman holds a wine glass like it's hers. A guy is tossing popcorn into his mouth while arguing with someone about football. They all look comfortable. Too comfortable. And then your eyes land on the banner. It hangs above the dining room arch, crooked but proud. White with metallic red letters. Family means forever. You don't move. Your hand still rests on the doorframe, unsure if you're dreaming. You recognize a few faces barely. A cousin you haven't spoken to since she borrowed money just until Tuesday 2 years ago. A family friend who once tagged you in a meme about being the rich cousin who thinks they're better than everyone. The rest strangers. Loud, happy strangers. Someone brushes past you holding a tray of cupcakes. You catch a glimpse of your own monogrammed dish towel in their hand. They don't even flinch when they see you. Bathrooms down the hall, right, they ask, without waiting for an answer. You don't say a word. Not yet. Instead, you walk slowly into the center of the chaos. Your couch, your rug, your fireplace, all cloaked in the scent of wine, cologne, and betrayal. No one seems to notice you're not supposed to be here. Or worse, maybe they know, and they just don't care. Your fingers twitch toward your phone, and it hits you: no missed calls, no texts, not a single. Hey, is it okay if we crash at your place? Because they didn't think you'd be here. Because you weren't invited. You walk into the kitchen, your kitchen, only to find 3 people drinking beer from your favorite mugs, and a dog you've never seen licking something off your tile. One of them looks up and does a double take. Wait, aren't you? You smile. It's the kind of smile people remember in court depositions. Yes, you say, I live here. That word live carries something sharp behind it, something final. You see it land on him like a slap. He stammers an apology, sets down his beer, and walks out, eyes wide. 1 down, 98 to go. You don't panic. That surprises even you. No boiling rage, no immediate shouting. Just this cool, surreal focus forming like a quiet lake in your chest. You're not here to beg for your space. You're here to understand who thought they had the right to erase you from it. And somewhere behind that banner, behind the noise and the party lights and the well-dressed strangers wearing your life like a costume, you know someone you trusted is waiting. You move through the crowd like a ghost. No one makes room for you, not right away. They think your staff, maybe a friend of a friend. Some guy with a clipboard and purpose. It's easier that way. You hear someone laugh in the next room, a sharp cackle that rises above the music, and suddenly you know exactly whose voice that is. Your sister. Of course it's her. You follow the sound until you reach the dining room. The long table you refinished yourself last summer is barely visible beneath mismatched plates, half-eaten pizza, and a bottle of tequila someone opened with their teeth. The banner overhead flutters slightly from the ceiling fan. Family means forever, and it's so on the nose you could scream. But you don't. You see her near the far window glass in hand, laughing at something your cousin is showing her on a phone. She's wearing one of your scarves. The expensive one. the one you never leave in the hall closet unless you're in a rush. She looks radiant in a way that's familiar and repulsive, like a curated version of you that forgot to ask permission before borrowing your life. You say her name once, not loud, just enough. She turns, her smile fades, then flickers back a little too quickly. "Oh my God," she says, like she spotted a celebrity. "You're home." And there it is. Not guilt, not embarrassment, just surprise, annoyance even. Like you've ruined her big night by showing up to your own house. Yes, you say, stepping closer, "I'm home." Someone turns the music down slightly, sensing a shift. Conversations don't stop, but they tilt slow. Your sister's friends, the same ones who once referred to you as the sibling with the stick up their spine, drift away pretending to look busy. Your sister, to her credit, holds her ground. "I thought your flight was tomorrow." "You thought right." A pause stretches between you. She sips her wine. You glance around the room at the photos taped to your cabinets, the makeshift family slideshow, playing on your TV full of baby pictures, barbecues, and not one recent image of you. You see a group chat thread projected on your smartboard, something labeled Operation Family Bash. And then you notice the top 98 participants. Your name isn't there. Was this whole thing a secret, you ask? She doesn't deny it. She shrugs, as if it's simpler that way. It wasn't secret, it just happened fast. Everyone wanted to reconnect. And your place was well bigger, closer, nice. Nice. Not yours, just nice. You pick up a photo of you and her from college, now placed face down behind a bottle of soda. You could have asked. We figured you'd say no. You let that sit there for a moment. That's the point. You didn't want to hear me say no. You just wanted the space. Her voice lowers, like she suddenly remembers she's not actually in charge here. We didn't think you'd mind. You're always traveling, always working. You don't even use this place most of the time. That doesn't mean it's yours. That lands harder than you thought it would. Her cheeks flush pink. She straightens, about to argue, when your aunt stumbles in from the kitchen holding a plate of nachos and yells, "We're out of guac. Did you guys bring any more?" Your sister doesn't even flinch. Check the fridge bottom shelf. Your fridge. You feel it then, that deep, absurd sense of trespass. Not just the physical space, but the emotional theft. This wasn't an accident. This was orchestrated. Your home became their Airbnb, and no one thought to ask the owner. You step away without a word. You walk past the kitchen where someone's burning garlic bread in your oven, past the hallway where a child you don't recognize is drawing with a Sharpie on your baseboards. You head upstairs, pulled by instinct more than direction. At the top of the stairs, your hand trembles just slightly as you push open the bedroom door. And there he is, your cousin Max, asleep in your bed, snoring softly, limbs spread like he owns the place. One of your robes is wrapped around him like a prize, and at the foot of the bed, your dog is curled against his leg, perfectly content. You don't make a sound. You just stare. This is the same cousin who once called you uptight for locking your bedroom during Thanksgiving. The same one who got wasted at your housewarming party and stole a pair of your wireless headphones. You reach down and scoop your dog up gently. She stirs, gives a little happy sigh, and nestles into your neck. Your robe slips off Max's shoulder. You see the outline of your favorite t-shirt underneath. You back out quietly, down the stairs again, past the hall of noise and laughter. The banner flutters again as you cross under it, and this time it looks less like a warm family welcome and more like the punchline to a joke you weren't in on. You grab your keys, walk to your car, lock the door behind you, and finally let out a breath that's been stuck in your lungs since the moment you stepped off that plane. You don't scream. You don't drive off. You just reach for your phone and dial the one person who's been waiting for this call since the day you bought this house. Your lawyer picks up on the second ring. Your lawyer's voice is always calm, but tonight it takes on a sharper edge, like she's been preparing for this exact scenario without ever being told. Is it time, she asks, not even waiting for you to explain. You nod, then realize she can't see you. It's time, you say. They're all here. I counted at least 99. There's a pause on her end. You hear typing, any documentation. You glance toward your house, now glowing like a discount wedding venue. Photos, videos, faces I recognize, and at least one uninvited cousin asleep in my bed. She laughs, not cruelly, but the kind of laugh that says she's been waiting for your family to overstep this far. All right, you still have the paperwork we drew up last year. In the drawer under the stairs. Good, you've got legal grounds. Let them finish their little reunion tonight. Tomorrow we serve them what they won't see coming. You hang up and sit in your car engine off wrapped in the dark. For a few minutes you do nothing. You watch as shadows move through the windows of your own home, like figures in a play where you weren't cast. You wonder how long they planned this. How many times your name came up and was quickly brushed aside. Don't invite them, someone probably said. They won't come anyway. You scroll through your messages. Still nothing. No missed calls. No where are you? Just silence. And then you open the family group chat. Or rather, you try to, but the thread is gone. Erased. You stare at the screen blinking. Search again. Still nothing. You dig into the chat archives and finally see it buried under layers of avoidance. Operation Family Bash, 98 people. You weren't removed. You were never added. And that stings in a way no insult ever has. Not because you missed a party, but because they decided you didn't matter. They made your house the venue, your name, the omission, your privacy, the casualty. They treated you like a resource, not a person. Like a vacation rental with central air and no boundaries. You click into the thread, scroll back, screenshots, emojis, memes, plans, jokes at your expense. If they ask, we'll say it was last minute. Do you think they'll notice if someone crashes in the master bedroom? Lol, they're rich, what do they care? Your throat tightens not from sadness, from clarity, the kind that sinks in slow and changes everything. You start screenshotting every message, every photo, every timestamp. You send them to your lawyer one by one. She responds with a thumbs up emoji, then, this will help. We'll serve eviction notices in the morning. You don't even have to be there. But you want to be there. You need to be. Because this isn't about getting your house back. It's about reminding them who it belongs to. You head back to the house, but not through the front door. Not yet. You park 2 blocks away and take a walk. The night air is thick, warm, carrying the scent of overcooked appetizers and crushed roses from your neighbor's garden. You think about all the times you tried to be the good sibling, the helpful cousin, the one who never made a scene. You gave them rides, loaned them money, let them crash at your place when their lives were in chaos. You helped them move, helped them heal, helped them pretend they were the ones holding everything together. And still they excluded you. Still they used you. You reach your back gate and slip through quietly. From here you can see the party in full swing. Someone's doing karaoke in your den. A teenager you've never seen is climbing onto your kitchen counter for a selfie. In the pool, 3 grown adults are drinking margaritas from your decorative skull glasses, the ones you bought on that solo trip to Oaxaca. You could storm in now, you could yell, demand answers. But that's not how you operate. You're not here for a spectacle. You're here for resolution. So you turn around, walk the short path back to the front, and ring your own doorbell. It takes a while. Eventually, someone opens it. A guy in a tuxedo t-shirt with a slice of cake in one hand. He squints. Can I help you? You raise an eyebrow. Yeah, I live here. He laughs like it's a punchline he doesn't get. No, seriously. You an Uber? No, I'm the homeowner. His smile dies. Wait, really? Behind him, voices quiet. One by one, heads turn. Music dims. A hush spreads through the crowd, followed by whispers. Someone mutters your name. And then your sister appears again, jaw tight. You came back. I never left, you say. You just decided to ignore that. She steps forward. Can we talk, just us? But you shake your head. No. You already did the talking. With 98 other people. Now it's my turn. You lift your phone and start recording. Faces go pale. Your sister opens her mouth, then closes it. You look around the room at the banner, the borrowed space, the comfort they all assumed, and let the silence speak for you. Tomorrow the paperwork comes. Tonight you reclaim your name. You don't raise your voice. You never need to. Because sometimes your silence has more force than shouting ever could. One by one they begin to realize you are not a ghost, not a rumor. Not the sibling who wouldn't mind. You're real, you're standing in your foyer, and your expression is the calm before the kind of storm that ruins reputations. Your cousin Amanda, the one who writes self-help quotes under every Instagram selfie, edges toward you with a nervous smile. We thought you were out of the country. You glance down at her outfit. That's your leather jacket. From the coat rack in the upstairs hall closet. I was, you say evenly. And now I'm not. A guy you don't even recognize, balancing a bottle of wine like it's a trophy. Raises his hands in mock surrender. Look, I didn't even know this wasn't an Airbnb. Okay. You nod. Good to know. That'll go in the report. A hush falls again, the kind of hush people use to reset a mistake too late. You walk past them toward the dining table and lift a half-empty bowl of chips. Did you bring these? You ask no one in particular. No answer. Right, you murmur, because stealing space is one thing, but stealing snacks, unforgivable. You smile when you say it, dry, measured. A joke laced in something real enough to sting. Your sister starts forward again. Look, maybe we went too far. Maybe you cut in setting the bowl down. You used my home address to send out printed invitations. You let people sleep in my bed. You used my fridge, my towels, my Wi-Fi. You threw a party that didn't include me in the house I pay for. And you uninvited me by never inviting me at all. She winces. It wasn't like that. I read the chat. Now she freezes. Because that's not just a claim, it's proof. The chat where you were a punchline, a footnote, a convenient absence. I'm not going to make a scene, you say, but tomorrow morning, the people in this house will receive legally enforceable notices requiring them to vacate within 24 hours. Or immediately if they don't have a legitimate reason to be here. Someone gasps. Someone else says, "What, too loud?" Your sister turns pale. You wouldn't actually do that. You look at her and your voice softens not for her sake, but because you finally understand the root of this. You all thought I'd be too polite to draw a boundary. You thought I'd stay quiet because that's what I've always done. She blinks. And for a long time, I did, you say. I kept giving and thinking that maybe if I did enough, I'd finally be included. Not out of pity, just respect. Her expression falters. You continue, but all it taught you is that I was safe to take from. And that's not my fault. That's yours. Someone behind her whispers, "Are we getting kicked out?" You ignore them. Walk toward the staircase. You need to get to the drawer under the stairs, the one where you keep documents. The just-in-case drawer. Because apparently just in case has arrived. You pass by Max again, now standing up and sheepishly wrapping your robe tighter around himself. "Hey, I didn't know," he starts. "You did," you say quietly. "You just didn't care." You open the drawer. Everything's still in the folder. Lease agreements, title documents, the revocable guest policy your lawyer helped draft last year after your sister's boyfriend tried to squat in your guest room. It all seemed a bit much back then. Paranoid. Extreme. But now, it feels like preparation. You make a stack of papers, place them in a binder, walk back into the living room, and drop it onto the coffee table. The sound makes a few people flinch. This is the paperwork you announce. For those of you who are wondering if this is a joke or a bluff or something that will blow over in a day or two, this is not that. What you are doing right now is trespassing. Someone scoffs. "Come on, we're not criminals." Then you'll leave tonight, no drama. Your sister steps forward again. "But we already made plans. What about breakfast? The whole family's coming back tomorrow." You tilt your head. "No. You made plans. You threw this party. You decided I wasn't part of this family unless it served your comfort." You pause. Let it settle. Tomorrow your plans are canceled. It takes another few minutes before the first person leaves. A woman in a velvet dress slips out quietly, not making eye contact. Then a couple more. Then Max, still in your robe, mutters something that sounds like "my bad," and disappears out the front. One by one they begin to trickle out, some with embarrassment, some with angry glares. One or two even say thank you, which is so absurd you nearly laugh. Your sister doesn't move. She just stands there helpless in the house she thought would never push back. You don't gloat, you don't sneer, you just meet her eyes and say you wanted to throw a party. Now you'll remember who owns the lights. By the time the clock hits 1:13 a.m., the living room is quiet again. Not silent, your house still carries the scattered echoes of the evening. A dropped fork clinks as someone nervously picks it up on their way out. A phone alarm buzzes from the guest room upstairs. Somewhere a faucet drips steadily. But the worst of it, the crowd, the laughter that didn't include you. The music that made your chest throb with displacement, it's all fading. You stand in the entryway, leaning slightly against the coat rack they overloaded with jackets that weren't yours. You can still smell someone's expensive cologne, something citrusy and smug. The glitter from that ridiculous banner still sparkles on the floor like a spilled lie. And then there's your sister. She's on the couch, arms crossed, chin up in that performative way she used to do when you were kids. And she broke something but insisted it was your fault. Only now there's no parent to play mediator. No one left to smooth it over. Just you. And your silence. "Are you seriously going through with this?" she finally asks. Her voice is tight like she's trying to sound unbothered, but the thinness gives her away. You're going to call the cops on your own family. You glance toward the coffee table, where the paperwork still sits pristine and undeniable. No, you reply. I'm giving you a chance to leave with your dignity intact. She scoffs. You think this makes you powerful? You tilt your head. No, I think it makes me clear. That catches her off guard. She leans forward. Clear about what? You let the words come slowly, not to hurt her, but because they've been trying to find their way out for years. Clear that I was never part of this version of family unless I made myself small. That I was welcome as long as I was convenient. That my home, my success, my space were only ever respected when you needed something from them. She looks away. And now your voice softens just a fraction. And clear that I've finally stopped waiting for permission to take up space in my own life. A long silence stretches between you, the kind that either deepens a rift or begins a bridge. She doesn't speak, not for a while, and then quieter. You always think I'm the villain. No, you say, meeting her eyes. I think you never learned the difference between sharing something and entitlement to it. You don't mean it cruelly, just accurately. There's a weight to truth that no insult can carry. And the truth is, you're not angry about the party. Not really. You're hurt by the pattern. The constant quiet expectation that you would be less just enough to make everyone else comfortable. And tonight that expectation ends. She stands up, walks past you toward the hallway. I'll grab my things. You don't stop her. You hear her steps up the stairs, the creak of your bedroom door, the rustle of fabric. It's not a victory. It's a beginning. You walk into the kitchen, flicking off switches as you go. The counter is littered with half-drunk bottles and bowls of snacks, like some warped holiday gone stale. You start clearing things one by one. The rhythm of tidying soothes something inside you. Every item thrown away feels like a quiet reclamation. You find your scarf folded clumsily on the table. You hold it for a second, then drape it back over the chair you like to sit in when you're thinking. You open a window, let the air breathe new into the space. And then for no reason at all you say out loud, I'm still here. The sound surprises even you, because it's not a declaration. It's a fact. You don't need applause or an apology. Just this. The solid, grounded truth that you don't have to fight for the right to exist in your own home anymore. You hear the suitcase rolling down the stairs. Your sister appears hair down, looking smaller now. No makeup, no party face. Just a woman who thought no one would call her bluff. She pauses at the door. You expect her to say something, maybe even ask for forgiveness. But she doesn't. She just gives you a tired, unreadable look and leaves. You lock the door behind her. Not out of spite, out of peace. Your house, for the first time in what feels like forever, belongs to you again. You lean back against the frame and close your eyes. Not because you're exhausted. Because you're full. And for once, not of other people's expectations. Just yourself. Morning comes gently. The kind of morning where sunlight streams in without apology, hitting the floorboards in gold ribbons, revealing smudges from shoe soles that shouldn't have been there in the first place. You wake up not to the blare of an alarm or the ding of a calendar reminder, but to the quiet warmth of your dog curled at your feet snoring. Like she too knows the chaos is over. You don't rush. For once you allow the slowness. Coffee brews as you pad through the kitchen barefoot, cleaning as you go, rinsing out forgotten glasses, wiping down sticky counters. You find a lipstick-stained cup tucked behind the microwave and toss it in the sink with a clink. It's oddly satisfying, these tiny acts of reclamation. Like each object you touch remembers who it belongs to. By the time your lawyer texts, everything's in place. Just need your signature. You've already printed the forms, and fed the dog. You've even lit a candle in the hallway, one of those absurdly expensive ones that smells like cedar wood enclosure. You slide the documents into a folder and carry it to the living room, setting it neatly on the coffee table. It doesn't even feel dramatic. It feels administrative, surgical. The emotional part happened last night. Now it's just logistics. At 9:17 a.m., the doorbell rings. You open it to find your lawyer on the porch, briefcase in one hand, coffee in the other. She raises a brow. You look calm. I slept, you say simply. Inside, she places the paperwork on the table and begins walking you through it. One by one, the names of each guest from last night, those who lingered past midnight, those who left behind luggage or excuses, are listed under unauthorized occupants. The chat screenshots admissible. The videos dated, tagged, geolocated. She slides you a pen. You sign. And just like that, the house becomes fully yours again, not just legally, but symbolically, spiritually. Then she hands you a smaller folder. What's this? Something extra, just in case. You open it. Inside are individualized letters. Terse, professional, but undeniably clear. You are hereby no longer permitted on the property, without the explicit written consent of the owner. You laugh once low and unexpected. You don't miss anything, do you? She shrugs. You hire me because I assume they'll pull something stupid. You nod, then walk her to the door. As she leaves, she turns back. By the way, you ever think of renting this place out when you travel again? You smile. After last night, I think I'm going to stay put for a while. She gives you a small, satisfied nod. Good. They don't deserve access to this version of you. The door closes gently behind her. You stand there for a long moment listening to the house breathe. It's different now, not quieter exactly, just more yours. The energy has shifted. The furniture looks like it's exhaled. Even the walls seem relieved. You head upstairs to clean out the last of the mess. Max left a pair of socks on your dresser. A stranger's cologne bottle sits next to your toothbrush. You dump them into a trash bag, without ceremony. In your closet, one of your dress shirts is hanging inside out, still damp. You remember buying it during a trip to Milan, your first real solo vacation. You smooth it gently and hang it properly, no more letting your life become someone else's backdrop. As you reach for a box to collect leftover debris, you catch your reflection in the hallway mirror. And you pause. You look different. Not younger, not tougher. Just unfiltered. There's a steadiness behind your eyes that wasn't there yesterday. A sense that maybe for the first time in a long while you're not performing calmness. You're being it. You walk back downstairs and open the windows. The breeze that enters is crisp, full of morning and momentum. The kind of air that feels like a fresh start. Then your phone buzzes. It's a text. Can we talk, your sister? You stare at the screen. Your thumb hovers over the reply button, but you don't tap it yet. You scroll up through the older texts. Months of one-sided messages. Requests, favors. Barely a trace of conversation that didn't come with a transaction. You close the thread. Not from anger. From clarity. She can wait. You've got dishes to finish, music to play, and a life to live that doesn't need to be constantly explained or defended. By noon, the house feels cleaner than it has in months, not just physically, but emotionally. You wipe the final bit of glitter off the windowsill and stand there for a moment, watching the trees outside. You don't feel vindicated. You feel whole, and that's better. Because revenge might feel good, but reclamation, that feels like freedom. You spend the rest of the afternoon doing something radical nothing. No fixing other people's chaos. No responding to guilt-laced texts. No pretending to be okay with things that clearly weren't. Just slow breathing and small tasks. You organize a drawer you've ignored for a year. You vacuum under the couch. You find a receipt for a wine rack you never received and laugh out loud because suddenly it all seems like a metaphor. At 3:14 p.m. a knock. Not the doorbell this time. Just the soft, calculated kind of knock someone uses when they hope you'll mistake it for a tree branch or the wind. But you hear it, and you already know who it is. You open the door halfway. She's standing there, your sister. No makeup this time. Hair pulled into a practical ponytail. She holds a coffee in one hand like it's a peace offering, and a reusable tote bag in the other, presumably filled with her forgotten things. I just wanted to get my stuff, she says. You nod and let her in. She walks with the hesitant steps of someone who remembers what they did, but hasn't yet figured out how to carry it. In the living room, she pauses, glancing at the now bare coffee table, the space where the party had bloomed and withered in a single night. You notice her eyes shift to the spot where the eviction folder had sat. She doesn't mention it. You don't either. She moves to the stairs but hesitates. Look, she starts, I know I handled that badly. You cross your arms, not cold, just grounded. Badly would have been forgetting to ask. What you did was deliberately exclude me. Then treat my house like it was a hotel you didn't plan to pay for. She flinches. That wasn't the plan. You don't soften, but it was the result. She lowers her eyes. I just wanted everyone to be together again. The family's been distant. You raise an eyebrow, and I'm the reason for that. No, she admits. But you being successful makes people uncomfortable. There it is. Not jealousy, not rage. Just the quiet confession of resentment dressed up as awkwardness. You let that land. Let it be ugly and true. I never rubbed it in anyone's face, you say calmly. I worked. I sacrificed. and I built a life I'm proud of. That doesn't make me the villain. I know, she says, but it made you harder to relate to. It felt easier to leave you out than risk feeling small. You study her for a long moment. Do you know what it feels like to walk into your own house and realize 99 people came together and still decided you weren't part of it? She looks up. Yes, she whispers. Now I do. You exhale slowly. Good. Then we understand each other. She nods and climbs the stairs, disappearing into the guest room. You don't follow her. You don't micromanage. Let her gather what's hers and leave on her own terms. While she's upstairs, your phone buzzes again. Another cousin, the one who sent you that passive-aggressive meme last Christmas. So what, we're just excommunicated now? You don't respond. You forward it to your lawyer instead. By the time your sister comes back down, tote bag full and steps heavier than before, something's shifted in her. Not quite guilt, but maybe a flicker of respect. At the door, she pauses. You're different. No, you say gently. I'm finally just being me. She stares for a second too long, like she's realizing how much of your kindness she mistook for weakness. And then she's gone. You close the door, lock it, and turn back toward the living room, now softly lit by the afternoon sun, clean and still and entirely your own. You settle into the couch with a book, one you've started 3 times but never finished because someone always needed something. Not today. You read 10 pages uninterrupted before your phone buzzes again. Aunt Debbie. Heard what happened. I'll be honest, I'm surprised. But good for you. You blink. That one. That one feels different. Then another message pops up. Can I call sometime soon, just to talk? You stare at the screen. Your thumb hovers again, but this time you smile. You type back. Sure, but not today. Today is mine. Evening descends slowly, painting your windows in amber streaks and long shadows. The silence inside your home isn't empty anymore, it's textured, layered. It hums with the afterglow of reclaimed space, the quiet confidence of boundaries finally drawn in permanent ink. You sit on the back patio with a cup of tea, watching the sky fade from gold to lavender. For the first time in months, maybe longer, your chest doesn't feel tight. No calendar alerts, no family emergencies disguised as obligations. Just this: a breeze, the low rustle of trees, and the steady warmth of your dog, curled against your side like a punctuation mark. You scroll through your phone, not out of habit but curiosity. The group chat Operation Family Bash has gone quiet. You don't need to open it again, but you do just once. The last message is from Amanda. Honestly, maybe we deserve that. You consider replying. You don't. You let the words sit there like a tombstone on a version of you they never really knew. Or tried to. A few messages have trickled in over the afternoon. Some relatives offering apologies. Others demanding explanations, as if being excluded was something you did to them, rather than something they orchestrated without you. One message from a friend, not family but better, simply says, "Saw what happened. You good?" And that's the one that makes your throat tighten. Because, yeah, you are, but you reply honestly. Not good, just free. It's hard to explain what kind of power lives in that word, free. It's not about revenge. It's not about control. It's about the space inside you that used to bend to keep peace and now stands upright, calm, steady, unapologetic. You remember a version of yourself that might have begged to be included, who might have cracked jokes to lighten the mood, offered to order pizza to make things even. But that person didn't make it through last night. They left quietly when Max rolled over in your bed and called your dog the wrong name. Now you stretch. The sky is darker. Your tea has gone cool. And inside the house is waiting no guests, no drama, just the echo of your own footsteps. You walk the perimeter before bed, instinctively checking locks, closing blinds. A habit passed down from your mother. You pause in the guest room, clean, now restored to quiet neutrality. No more perfume lingering in the air. No stranger's shoes beneath the dresser. You flick off the light and let the dark swallow the room whole. Back in your bedroom, you strip the sheets, toss them in the laundry, and replace them with fresh ones. You find your favorite robe hanging exactly where it should be, and your dog jumps up on the bed without hesitation, like she knows it's finally safe to stretch out again. As you pull the covers over yourself, you hear your phone buzz one more time. You glance over. Your sister again. "Hey, if we ever try something like that again, just kick us out sooner." You smile despite yourself. There won't be a next time, you reply. And there won't. Not because you're closing the door forever, but because the door is no longer theirs to walk through without knocking. Not ever again. You set the phone down, turn off the light, and lie back. It's quiet, deliberate, not a lonely silence but a full one. You close your eyes, and sleep finally comes without resistance. The next few days unfold like a soft reset. Not dramatic, not loud, just different. People begin to realize you're not returning their calls as quickly, that your sure no problem replies are now replaced with, "Let me get back to you." You watch the ripple effect as it spreads through the group chat, through inboxes, through carefully worded voicemails, where voices suddenly sound cautious, deferential. Your cousin Amanda tries to pivot. She sends you a link to a self-help podcast and adds, "This one made me think of you. Empowerment vibes." You don't respond. Empowerment isn't something you find in a podcast. It's what happens when you lock your own front door for the first time with a different kind of intent. The kind that says this house has rules now. The kind that says, "So do I." One afternoon you walk past the now empty guest room and pause at the doorway. For a moment you consider turning it into something, a home office, a meditation space, even just a library, something selfish, something yours. And then you laugh because even that word selfish has changed shape. It no longer feels sharp or dirty. It feels like a boundary with a spine. You drive to a hardware store, buy a new lock for the front gate, something digital, code protected. You install it yourself, sweating in the afternoon sun, smiling as you do. You imagine someone from last week walking up trying to enter like nothing's changed. They won't be able to, because something has changed. On Sunday, your neighbor stops by, older guy, sweet, always offered to water your plants when you were away. He knocks politely, hands you a wrapped plate of something that smells homemade. "Figured you might need a reset," he says. You thank him, offer tea. As you sit together on the back patio, he gives you a look that's both curious and knowing. "Heard a bit about the party," he says casually, like he's offering a weather report. You nod. "It happened. It's over." He smiles. That's one way to say it. There's a long pause as you both sip quietly. "I've lived here 34 years, he says. Finally. Seen a lot of families implode, but I've also seen a few individuals figure out when enough is enough. Rare skill, that." You nod again, slower this time. "Took me long enough." He grins. "Doesn't matter when it happens, only that it did." After he leaves, you stand in the doorway for a while, holding the plate, letting his words settle like soft dust on your freshly swept floor. "Doesn't matter when it happens, only that it did." Later that night, you walk through the house with a new rhythm. You've rearranged some furniture, not dramatically, but enough to disrupt the party blueprint burned into your memory. The couch is facing the window now. The dining chairs no longer huddle beneath that cursed banner arch. You realize something, then you've started living forward. You're no longer undoing what happened. You're creating what's next. That's what reclamation really is, not rage, not revenge, but the quiet, steady process of choosing yourself again and again and again. In the kitchen, you find a wine glass someone left behind. Not yours, not even your style. You hold it for a moment. Consider keeping it. Maybe out of irony, maybe as a reminder. Then you drop it into the donation box with a gentle clink. Some things don't deserve a place in your new chapter. You turn off the lights, head upstairs, and as you lie in bed, your sheets, your air, you don't replay last week anymore. You think about next month, next year, who you'll be then, and you smile, because you know now she'll be someone who never ever gets left out of her own story again. You don't throw a party to celebrate your peace. You don't post a photo. You don't write a public post that vaguely hints at cutting off toxic people. You don't need to. That kind of peace doesn't beg for validation, it simply breathes. It lingers in the small things, the fresh coffee you brew in the morning, without cleaning up after anyone else. The untouched silence of your hallway, the echo of your own footsteps. A week later, you change the group chat name. You don't delete it, you're not erasing history. You're documenting change. You rename it simply, "Respect Required." The reaction is instant. Some people leave, others stay silent, but no one jokes. And that in itself is new. Your sister hasn't messaged you again. Not since the last dry exchange. She's watching, though. You know how she works, still orbiting, waiting to see if you'll fold again. You won't, because folding was the cost of admission. And you're done paying to be tolerated in rooms you built. On a quiet Tuesday, you go through your closet and start pulling things out. Not just old sweaters or forgotten shoes, but gifts from people who never knew how to say thank you, objects tied to memories you no longer want to haul around. You build a donation pile. You label a box uninvited energy. You laugh a little as you tape it shut. You take yourself out to dinner that night alone. Not because no one wants to come. Because no one needs to. You sit at a corner table, order what you want, no sharing plates, no performance. You toast yourself with a quiet clink of a glass. And you realize nothing tastes quite like liberation. On your way home, your phone buzzes again. A message from your aunt. I still don't understand why you were so harsh. You reread it twice, and then you write, because I'm not a doormat, I'm the door. And it's locked until people learn to knock. You don't care if she replies. The point wasn't to win them back. It was to win yourself back. And you did. That night, you sit on the floor of your living room with your dog, a blanket, and a bottle of something good. You cue up a playlist that doesn't make you flinch. You turn the volume low, not for anyone else's comfort, just because the sound of your own life humming gently around you is enough. Your phone is face down. Your inbox is quiet, and your heart for once isn't holding its breath. You made it through the storm they swore would be fine, and you came out still standing, still kind, but no longer compliant. Tomorrow will bring new invitations, new faces, new tests. But tonight the house is yours. So is the silence. So is the peace. And finally, so are you.